Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be filming a advice column or advice segment. I mentioned in one of my last videos that I wanted to open up a forum where you guys can reach out to me and ask me my opinion on certain situations that you might be going through. I did receive an email from someone whom I will not be mentioning. If I do use a name, it is not her real name. I am respecting her privacy, but I will be doing my first JessiChats video today, all on advice and her situation, and give you guys my feedback. And I'd like to start some conversation down in the comments below as well. So if you're interested in seeing something new from me, please keep watching. So I have the email here, and I just popped it into a note on my phone because I didn't want any of her information to be seen, or I wasn't comfortable with it in my hand on camera, even if I wasn't facing it to the camera. So I just want to let you guys know that if you do reach out to me with any advice, looking for any advice, just know that I am going to respect your privacy. I will not be releasing any of your information or your names. This is, I think we've built enough trust to know that we're good. I'm gonna read you the email. It says, "Hi Jessi, I was watching your video the other day and noticed that you are going to be doing an advice segment. Thank goodness, because I'm in a really, really big problem. I watch your videos all the time and I really do value your opinion." Thanks, girl. "So it's only natural for me to write to you and see what you thought about my situation. I have been married for 18 years now, and for a number of years my husband and I have been very disconnected. A few months back I went to a party and reconnected with someone from the past. We exchanged numbers and started talking for weeks and weeks on end. Finally, we decided to meet up, and what a mistake that was. Long story short, things happened and I cheated on my husband. I'm not sure if I want to stay with my husband, but I do know that I need to come clean and tell him what I did. I don't know what it is that I'm afraid of, but I have this sinking feeling in my stomach that he's going to leave me. I keep fighting my own thoughts, thinking before that disconnected. I keep fighting my own thoughts and thinking that perhaps we're not as disconnected as I thought, and maybe I'm no longer in love with him. If either one is the case, why do I worry so much about how he's going to feel? There's more to the story, but honestly, it would take me years to type this out. The most important thing for you to know is that I feel very neglected and lonely in my marriage, and I have told my husband several times, but he has done nothing to change it. So I almost feel like I shouldn't feel guilty for what I've done, but I do. Anyway, I need to tell him. What is your advice?" Girl. This is a serious one. What is my advice on telling him? First of all, let me just say thank you for reaching out to me and feeling comfortable enough to ask me for my opinion. Know that I'm not judging you. Every marriage is different and we deal with things differently. I sympathize with what you're going through. I would advise that you do tell him, because the skeletons that are left in the closet normally fall out, and you never want to be caught by someone that you care about, because obviously you care about him. Otherwise you wouldn't feel the way that you're feeling after what you've done. You never want to be caught in something that you haven't brought to the table yourself. So it's important that you do tell him. So kudos to you for knowing that that was the right thing to do and really thinking about how to do it. This is a very sticky situation, because at the end of all of this, just know that someone is going to be hurt. Obviously, he's going to be hurt, and depending on the outcome, you might be hurt as well. So it's important to set realistic expectations for yourself and know that this can go left. I would just sit him down in the privacy of your own home. Don't take him out to dinner. Don't do any of that. You don't want him to be devastated in public. Sit him down and tell him, look, we've been going through something. I've told you that I felt this way in our marriage, and I didn't feel like I was getting what I needed from you. So I found another friend at a party who I went to school with, and it was very harmless at first until I met up with him and I made a huge mistake. Be direct, get to the point, because as you're talking, his stomach is going to be sinking. I know how it feels to be cheated on, and I know how it feels to have my heart broken, and that's probably how he's gonna feel. I'm not trying to make you feel even more guilty than you already feel, but I want you to know that that is what he's going to feel. So with that in your mind, when you do tell him, just be to the point, because it's going to be hard for him to sit through a really long conversation without you telling him exactly what it is that you need to tell him. After that is done, it's really important to apologize and tell him that you made a mistake, and that you understand that he's hurt and it wasn't your intention. I don't know what you were thinking at that time, but maybe tell him what you were thinking at that time. Tell him how lonely you felt. Tell him it's no excuse for what you've done, but it is what caused you to make the decision. That's going to be the easy part. What's going to be the hard part is how you handle it after you break the news to him. You got to put on some really extra careful gloves with this. It is imperative that you really do take his emotions seriously. Don't ask him what he wants to do when you tell him that you break the news to him. Ask him later. A few days in, ask him. Say, how are you feeling? Do you want me to leave? Do you want to work this out? Do you, and say, maybe we should see someone. There's no shame. There should be no shame in seeing a psychologist, not psychiatrist. It's helpful sometimes to get an unbiased opinion about a situation that you're going through, and maybe he needs to hear someone else's views on what he's going through too, and maybe you need to hear that. Maybe there's something going on within him that's causing him to distance himself from you, and I think in all this, it's important that you get the answers that you need as well. A marriage is very different. It's not like dating someone. You have taken a vow, in front of God, to be with this person, through good things and through bad things, among the many other vows that you take. So I think it's important for you to get your answers, and maybe you won't get it from him, directly from him. Maybe you need someone else to be present to pull those emotions and those answers out of him. Maybe he's not as communicative as you. It's a very sticky situation, and do I think you should tell him? Absolutely. Sit him down, tell him what's going on, tell him, I've told you that I felt this way. I'm really sorry. I made a mistake. I linked up with someone that I've known for a really long time, and things happen and I feel horrible, and I know that you're gonna be hurt. I'm not making excuses for what I've done. What I've done is stupid, and I wanted to tell you right away, and so I'm telling you. And see what he says. Don't be so quick to push more of your emotions onto him. Allow him to feel what he's feeling and tell you what it is that he's feeling, if he's willing to even do that. If he gets up and walks away, let him get up and walk away. Tell him, I'm sorry. I'll give you your space as he walks away from you. Do not follow him. Do not tap on his shoulder. Don't keep poking at him. He needs to go through and sort out how he's feeling. And it's important that you understand that he has a right to not want to talk. So I wouldn't say to feel like the world is crumbling at that moment. Give him time. I know I needed my time to sort out my emotions when that happened to me, and it took me a lot of time to come to terms with what happened and figure out what I wanted to do with that relationship. And he may want to leave you. He may want to work it out. He may not know what he wants to do. And if it comes to that point, I would suggest that you see someone. And even if he does want to work it out, you should see someone, because he's still going to be harboring those feelings. It's very, very common that people harbor feelings and carry them on into their future, and you know, he's never going to forgive or forget what you've done to a point, but it's important that he understands what propelled you to do that and forgive you. And you need to forgive him for, you know, making you feel like you needed to find someone else to give you attention. And I would say stop talking to this person if you haven't already. Lose his information. Tell him that you made a terrible mistake and you no longer want to be in contact with him. Whether or not you tell your husband who this person is completely up to you. He is going to ask, who is it? Who was it? Do I know this person? You know, and if he does know them, be honest. Be honest. I can't stress enough how important it is to be honest. You are going to demolish the trust in your marriage the moment you tell him what you've done. So it's important that you tell him the whole story, because he may do digging on his own, and if he does and he finds information out that you didn't tell him, it's going to make the situation worse, if that's even fathomable by you. Be honest and tell him the whole story. Tell him what you were thinking, why you did it. You know, tell him everything. Be honest. That's the best. I feel like that's the best advice that I can give you is just honesty and vulnerability. Allow yourself to feel the words that you're saying, and allow yourself to be receptive to how he's feeling too, because that's so important. It's really important for you not to just focus on how the situation has made you feel, but give him the respect in focusing on how he might be feeling. And I think that when two people get married, it's really easy for you to be in your own feelings and worry about how you feel about something and how they're not doing something that you want them to do. But it's really important for you to put his shoes on too and try to see things from his perspective, and for him to do the same for you. Try to be more empathetic, and you know, it may feel like you're putting more work in when you do things like that, but it's the way it should be done. You should always be mindful of your spouse and of their feelings. And if we or people in a relationship do that more, I'm telling you, there'll be less arguments, less hurtful moments, because you're always thinking about them. And not just thinking about them like, oh, I miss you. No, like really thinking about, man, how would he feel if I did this to him? Why is he doing this to me? What is going through his mind? You should know them well enough to explore trying to understand them when they don't really articulate it themselves, and finding a way to get them to articulate it. My marriage isn't perfect, and so I know that there are many roads that are bumpy, and it's not easy to get through them, but you can get through this. Just be honest. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. And if you guys have anything that you're going through that you may want my advice or my opinions on, please email me. My email is down below as well. And if I continue to get more and more emails about this, I'll make sure to create an email address just for this purpose. Again, I really do enjoy talking to you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye guys.